So guys, we are here with the Dev Insight for Season 22 Ability and Armor Changes Preview. We're going to jump into the article here today, breaking down all the important information. If you're going to enjoy, as always, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, as it's free to do and it really does help me out here a lot. We're also on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so if you could help out there, I'd super appreciate it. Let's just jump straight into it. First off, we have the exotic armor changes for next season. Starting off with the hunters here, Knucklehead Radar. The functionality of the Foe Tracer exotic helmet has been completely removed from that exotic and added to Knucklehead Radar on top of its existing benefits. Foe Tracer, we took some cues from the popular monochromatic Maestro artifact perk. For this one, when you deal damage with one of your abilities, you gain a damage bonus with weapons that have damage types matching your subclass damage type. Additionally, when you defeat an enemy you've damaged with one of your abilities, either with another ability or with a weapon with a damage type matching your subclass type, you will spawn one of the collectible objects associated with your subclass, such as ionic traces or fire sprites. Lucky Raspberry, this exotic was a little too unreliable in its current form, so we've taken a crack at streamlining its energy gains while leaving some of its benefits intact. The exotic still expands the chaining capabilities of arc bolt grenades, but now instead of basing the grenade energy gains on those chains, each time you damage an enemy with a lightning strike from the jolted condition, as well as each time you pick up an ionic trace, you gain additional grenade energy. We've also given the grenade the intrinsic ability to stun overload champions. Now you don't have to jolt them and then trigger the jolt lightning strikes just to stun them, making these grenades a more reliable tool against overload champions. That was a mouthful. Renewal Grasps, we've undone the previous nerf to Dustfield grenade cooldowns when using this exotic. Titans, Icefall Mantle, Doomfang Pauldron, Path of Burning Steps, and Eternal Warrior. Season 21 included some changes to Eternal Warrior and Path of Burning Steps. We've added an escalating damage bonus to arc and solar weapons, respectively, when you get kills with those damage types. We liked that this gave players another way to get surge-like bonuses, but the Eternal Warrior seemed to have the most reliable way to get up to tier 4 damage bonus. We've made some future changes to these perks to make them a little more reliable, while also expanding the functionality of two other exotics. ACD Zero Feedback Fence. This exotic got a complete mechanical rework and now ties into Armor Charge system, increasing its versatility and making it more useful in scenarios where you might not be taking a lot of melee damage. With the new perk, which completely replaces the old one, when melee hits give you an armor charge, you take reduced melee damage while you have an armor charge. Taking melee damage causes you to emit a burst of arc energy that jolts targets, consuming your armor charge and dealing more damage based on the number of stacks consumed. Note the damage dealt by the arc burst energy should be comparable to its current damage from 0 to 3 stacks of armor charge. Hello Fire Heart. This exotic often stands in the shadow of the more ubiquitous Heart of Inmost Light. I think I'm saying that word correctly. To remedy that, we have removed its base energy to solar abilities and replaced it with a perk that will let you build more into sunspots. We think you'll be seeing many more sunspots on the battlefield as a result. As for the perk that greatly increases your ability regen rate when super is fully charged, we left that as is. Warlocks, Astrocyte Verse. We've added 2 more pieces of functionality to this exotic. When you blink, the enemies near you when you reappear will be volatile. You may leap away, triggering a series of explosions when you fire upon them. Additionally, when using the Nova Warp Super, Dark Blink ability no longer consumes super energy. Geomag Stabilizers. While we've often heard calls to restore the perk that will let you top off super energy by sprinting, the legacy of that incentive still creates some pretty silly play patterns. Instead, we wanted to give players a way to get more super energy, no matter how charged their super is. Now picking up an ionic trace or wearing the exotic will grant guardians additional super energy. Wings of Sacred Dawn. Leaning into the orbital weapon platform fantasy, we wanted to help players have a way of staying aloft longer, especially in high, rich PvE environments. Typically, reloading was the main cause of a float to end. This exotic now automatically reloads solar weapons, including the weapons you are holding from reserves each time you get a kill while aiming down sights. Winter's Guile. Due to the nature of Stasis Warlock melee ability, this exotic was previously a disappointing choice for that subclass. We've added a new perk to this one specifically for when you are playing your Stasis subclass. Now, combatants encased by your Penumbral Blast melee will automatically shatter after a short delay. Going over quickly all the changes here with the exotics, if it wasn't mentioned, their previous exotic perk also remains intact. Going over the ability preview for next season, Powering Barricade base cooldown increased from 48 seconds to 70 seconds, and all barricades max health reduced from 600 to 500, and damage resistance versus PvE combatants increased to compensate. Thunder Crash increased base cooldown from 500 seconds to 556 seconds, matching the majority of our roaming super roster. Knockout reduced damage bonus versus players from 50 to 30. Now going on to Strand. Suspend is currently a skeleton key that solves combatant problems against all combatant types. Its current duration heavily steps on the toes of Stasis Freeze, which we want to keep as the highest potency disable in the sandbox. The uptime of suspending atoms doesn't allow for meaningful play decision making when choosing when and where to place a hard disable. So they've reduced base suspend duration versus non-champion PvE combatants from 8 seconds to 5 seconds. Thread of Continuity now extends this duration to 7 seconds, down from 12. Reduced base suspend duration versus champion combatants from 8 to 3 seconds, 4 seconds with Thread of Continuity, and increased snap damage dealt to suspended boss combatants by 67%. Thread of Mind reduced class ability energy gain based on the tier of target defeated. Minor combatants reduced from 15 to 10%, major combatants reduced from 25 to 15, and boss, champion, and mini-bosses reduced from 50% to 25%. Thread of Regeneration reduced overall energy gain per damage event against PvE enemies by about 20%. Rebalance the energy gain multiplier across primary weapon archetypes. We want to bring the energy gains from dealing damage with precision weapons and fully automatic weapons closer together. Overall, we reduce the efficiency of automatic weapons and increase the efficiency of precision primary weapons to compensate. Threadlings increased threadling damage versus PvE combatant by 30%. Tangles reduced tangle creation cooldown time from 15 seconds to 12. Sever PvE combatants affected by Sever now have their outgoing damage reduced by 40% versus 30%. And now they go on to Silk Strike. Increased Silk Strike damage resistance from 40 to 45%. Reduced suppression time between Silk Strike Super Air Axe. And reduced vertical lift provided by Silk Strike Heavy Air Attack to reduce the instance of missing the primary target. Threaded Spectre increased Threaded Spectre lifetime from 10 to 12 seconds. Increased Threaded Spectre health versus PvE combatants. Threaded Spectre now takes longer to detect nearby enemy combatants at the beginning of its lifetime. PvE combatants now more consistently focus on Threaded Spectre instead of the Hunter, and allied players no longer have reticle magnetism towards Threaded Spectre. Broodweavers, the Wanderer, destroying a tangle now creates a delayed suspending detonation. Increased suspending detonation radius from 6 to 7 meters against PvE combatants. Increased Prone Wanderer tangle detonation damage to match Strand tangle detonations. Grapple melee always takes priority while active regardless of whether or not the target is within range. Good change there. Thread of Propagation now grants 10 strength. Thread of Continuity no longer grants 10 strength. Thread of Wisdom no longer requires a precision kill to activate. Thread of Isolation reduced the number of precision hits required to activate, an average of about 30%, varies by weapon type. Thread of Rebirth, number of created threadlings now increased based on the tier of enemy defeated. Minor combatants generate 1, elite combatants or players generate 2, boss, champion, and mini-bosses generate 3. That is everything of importance within this article. As always, if you want to read it for yourself, you'll find a link to it in the description. And if you've enjoyed, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll still have you guys today though, so I will see you all in the next one.